Hi, it's Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style, coming to answer your colour and style questions. I'm just throwing them everywhere. First one today comes from Kim, who says, my biggest problem with my style is that I seem to have lost it. I began dressing casually when I had kids and I just never seem to get my flair back. I'm also a theatre nurse that when I go to work, I get changed into scrubs. I haven't put much effort into how I look as I just get changed. I guess I've lost my spark and I'm not sure how to get it back. I see lots of stuff I like, but at 51, I'm not sure what works for me and I find it easier to just fall back into track pants and active wear. So Kim, I am sure you are not alone. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've heard similar sorts of thoughts from many women. So there's a few things to think about here. First of all, there is the midlife question. One of the things that often happens when we get to midlife is we start questioning who we are at this moment. Are we the person we were at 20? Absolutely not. And who is the person we want to be as we go forward into the second half of our life? And also too is our bodies are not what they used to be. Well, for most of us, they're not. You know, the skin is not as tight as it used to be when you were younger. I certainly know mine is not. Maybe, having children has changed your body shape. It might have given you more of a tummy. It may have, you may have put on weight in certain areas that you didn't have pre-children. Plus, just the skin is more stretched out from having those kids. So it just doesn't snap back like it used to. So we've got to think about, where we are today, the body we have today. Then there's also who are we now and what's appropriate for me now as well. And I think this is a very personal question. There is no one set of rules. One of the things I often hear women say, particularly at this age, is I don't want to be mutton dressed as lamb, which basically is I don't want to be seen as trying to dress, really young, because it's kind of obvious and it's not particularly attractive if I'm seen to be trying to dress like my teenage daughter. Now, one of the things that I have found really, really interesting about this little saying and this concept is that for most women who think about this, they are not going to dress too young. And in fact, they're often going to dress too old and a bit frumpy or dowdy for fear of dressing too young. Like, I can't wear jeans anymore. I can't wear certain sorts of clothes because, maybe they're too young. And I really think that is untrue. So really, you can wear jeans until you're 100 if you want to. In fact, I'm pretty sure Iris Apfel still wears jeans and she is 101. And she is seen as a style icon and she is completely not mutton dressed as lamb. She dresses to her personality and I think that's what is so fabulous about her style. Now, you may not want to emulate her style. You may not like her style, but it's certainly not dressing too young in the way that we worry about in that mutton dressed as lamb way. So honestly, if that thought ever crosses your mind, put it to one side because you're just not going to go there. If you are feeling uncomfortable, like I look at a lot of the clothes around these days for, aimed at my daughter's generation and a little bit older, and there's lots of cutouts at the waist and things that I just wouldn't want to be doing. I don't have the body for it anymore and that would make me feel really uncomfortable. So I'm not going to select those clothes, but it doesn't mean I can't have some sort of fashion sense and I can't, I don't have to be dated. Or dressing frumpy or in a sloppy way because I just can't wear that set of clothing or I don't want to wear that set of clothing. So that's where mutton dressed as lamb comes in. It's either following the latest fashion trend head to toe without any consideration of whether it suits you or not, or it's just showing an awful lot of skin where, it's maybe there's just too much on show. So they are some things to think about. But, if you are not going to just get all your skin out and show every body part at the same time, then you're unlikely to be dressing as mutton dressed as lamb. And if you're not walking into a shop and thinking, it's the latest fashion trend, I have to wear it, no matter if it suits me or not, you're also not going to be dressed as mutton dressed as lamb. So just put that thought aside and stop worrying about it. It's something you do not need to be concerned with. So when we're thinking about finding your style, because what you're saying is that I've lost my style. So how do I refine my style? Now, the style that you used to have is probably not your style today. I think about my own style journey and it's really morphed over the years. I am not wearing the same clothes I wore 20 years ago or 30 years ago, or even, some of them are probably 10 years old. But like this jacket is 10 years old, but it's a fairly creative, unique piece, and it hasn't dated in the way that maybe some other pieces of clothing have. But it is something that, is it still relevant? Is it still something that I want to wear? Is it still something I love? Those are questions I ask myself when I'm thinking about, should I keep something or let it go? Is it still me? And so this is where the question is to find who you are today, to start thinking about, well, who am I now and how do I want to be perceived? And what does that really mean for my style? Now, one of my new programs called Visualize Your Style, it's a little mini course. It's, you could do it in a few hours very easily. And what it will do is help you redefine your style, because that is often where we get lost, and we get lost in the body shape stuff and the body I have today and all these other things. And what it does is it takes you right back to the core of your aesthetic to find out what it is you love today rather than what you used to love or anything like that. And then takes you step by step and leads you through a process to figure out what actually is your style today. So I do recommend that is a great place to start, is my Visualize Your Style mini course. If you are struggling with going, what is my style? I feel completely lost. I think that is the best place to start to figure it out who you are today. So that said, and then it's thinking about, rather than just getting dressed in your activewear or things like that, because you don't have to think too much about it, is starting to, once you've got this understanding of your aesthetic, is starting to look around and seeing whose style you admire and noticing the details. Now, if you're a big picture thinker like I am, it takes a bit more effort to notice the details, but it is worthwhile doing. Notice, what are the accessories? How have they put things together? What kind of fabrics are in that outfit? And it's starting to notice what it is that goes together that makes up that whole, if it's not something that you naturally do. Versus some people who have a more detailed focus find it much easier to see those details, but then they can get lost with the big picture. So we want to have both a zoomed out and a zoomed in approach to our style. But I would recommend, Kim, that, you like lots of stuff, which is fantastic. Part of it is experimenting. Now, what you can do, you don't have to go and buy everything, but go into stores, try on the things you like. Take some photos of yourself in the mirror in the change room. You don't have to buy anything today. And then, go home and have a look at them. Get a bit of distance between you and the store so you don't end up wasting a whole lot of money on things you're not going to wear. And notice if it's something that when you look at those photos later, which ones did you like the most? What is it that you really liked about them? Which ones work for your body? Because you might find you can love something. And I spent years and years before I learned what I learned in my image consultant training course, which is what I teach my clients, all about, I loved stuff for a body shape that was not my body shape. And as much as I loved it and I could really appreciate it on other people, it didn't work for me. And every time I put it on, I never felt as good in myself as when I'm wearing the clothes in the styles that work for my body, that are in harmony with my body. So it is thinking about those sorts of things. So do, kind of get a bit of knowledge. A style education is going to take you from feeling that lost and confused and giving you that knowledge that you need to actually start making the choices. But go out shopping, do what I call reconnaissance missions. So these are really just an exploration, an experiment. They're not buying. Just because we go to a store doesn't mean we have to buy anything. But I do recommend going out and trying things on and experimenting to start to get to know what it is that you want to have in your style today.